Hi, welcome back to another video. In this video, I wanted to share why I decided to use a Hobonichi Cousin. Forgive me, I will get all of the terms wrong because I'm very much not in the world of Hobonichi, but why I decided to use this book in 2026. And just to provide some context, the reason why this is significant for me is because for several years I was fairly adamant that I would never really use, not never, maybe that's too strong of a word, but I was pretty certain that I wouldn't use a Hobonichi in any form, like Weeks or Cousin or Avec or anything, because I felt like it wasn't so much the layout, but it was the colors. The colors never really appealed to me. And I always felt like there were other planner layouts that kind of suited me better. And so in this video, I wanted to talk about why I am switching to a Hobonichi Cousin A5 size. I believe the cousin refers to the A5 size. Again, I will get many terms wrong, but to me, this is a fairly significant video because a lot of kind of thinking went into this. It was not an impulsive decision. I thought very long and hard about this, and it kind of evolves from my 2025 planner lineup and how I feel like that worked and what I struggled with. And this kind of addresses some of those concerns. And it's a fun time. It's a fun planner season because we get to think about what we want to use next year. And I think it's fun to switch things up every now and then and to kind of tweak your system so that it works for you because, we go through different seasons of our lives. Every year is not always the same. Every month is barely the same. And so I think that's one of the fun things about a different planner, that you get to switch things up every year in anticipation of what you think that year is going to be like. Anyway, that's my little bit of a ramble for the intro, but I do have an outline for this video that I'm staring at right now on my Patreon. And I'm going to start with kind of the background context. So how I currently plan and daily log, hint, hint, as to why I'm using this, and how I evolved from that into thinking that I needed this. So I'm going to put this away for now and show you, if you watch my Plan With Me's, this is very familiar. This is my current weekly planner. It's kind of like a weekly daily planner, but the planner that's also relevant here is my daily log, which is my beloved Stalogy. I love this book so much and it has served me so well. It's getting quite chunky, as you can see. This is a B6. These are both B6 sizes, by the way. So I really love the B6, and that was a big consideration for me in 2025 because I wanted to use a smaller sized planner because A5 always felt really big for me. And A6 was too small, so B6 size was kind of perfect. I really loved the idea of just having something kind of portable, but as you can see, towards the end of the year, no longer portable. So there are several things I want to cover, but first I want to say that this is my planner for to-do list tasks, and this is my kind of like diary, memory keeper, just daily log, just how I record memories. I mean, I started off with a lot of photos, just writing a few sentences, every now and then. What am I saying? Writing just a few things throughout the day because I have memory issues, and I won't go too much into it because I feel like just talking about the daily log is like a separate video. But for me, I have problems with memory, and so if I don't write things down, there are definitely some blank days in here. If I don't write something down, that day is like almost completely gone to me, especially if I don't have any photos, if I haven't written anything else down. And so I tend to live in my head a little bit too much. And I've noticed over the years that like I don't have a good record of like things that I've done, and like I have moments of like the bigger moments, I've recorded those things, but sometimes just like the very small things, like spending time with my husband at a cafe, what time I woke up, and like spending time in the backyard, like really little simple moments. And I'm a big fan of documenting that because my life is not grand, my life is not filled with big moments, and so I really like being able to just, I don't know. To me, it feels like, I said I wouldn't go into this, but I am. It's celebrating little moments of gratitude. So you're kind of paying more attention to your days and your life. And again, because I work from home and I work for myself, I'm a full-time kind of business owner, creative. I do have the space for this. Obviously, this would be very difficult if you had a full-time job, just jotting down like so much in a day. But this format also works for me because I find the act of writing very pleasurable. Like I do like journaling, and sometimes I just want to like get the thoughts out of my head. I tend to like dwell on things, positive and negative, in my head a lot. And so writing it down on a like in a book feels like it's getting it out of my head, and it just frees up so much space in my brain, and I don't have to worry about like me forgetting something. So it started off very much like photos, like little moments, screenshots even, and I would just write about my day or like a video that I posted. So that's kind of how it started with the daily log, and I honestly cannot fault this book. Like I enjoy being in here so much. I use a fountain pen. It's fountain pen friendly to me, fountain pen friendly paper. And so yeah, it just got a little chunky with some of the ephemera, but like nothing too crazy. But over time, I found it harder and harder to keep up with it. As you can see, I still have a lot of blank space to catch up with photos. I'm just going to leave most of this blank because it is what it is. I'm going to struggle going back and trying to remember everything. So it's kind of better to just leave it, and that's okay. As I've mentioned before, these kind of blank spaces do tell a story. Like I must have been either really busy or overwhelmed that day, or there was just a lot going on. And so it does kind of trigger a memory when I see the blank space on that day, because it obviously means I was maybe just a little bit too busy to be in my journals, and that's okay. But this kind of evolved over time. I might do like a separate video if anyone's interested, but it evolved over time from like 2 pages per day. And then I eventually morphed it into 1 page per day and then 1 photo per day, and eventually started getting too thick. And I felt like I really wanted to separate the photos a little bit. Again, it's a whole, there's a whole thought process behind this, but I eventually stopped putting photos in here with the idea that I would put it in a separate journal, which I'll talk about, in a future video. And so this is recent. I haven't been in here in the past 2-3 days, but I do want to catch up a little bit on this. And on the days that I don't feel like I have the space to sit down and just like write, I will just put it in my Notion, which I've talked about before. So I have a page kind of dedicated to that, which I call field notes. And I just like jot down points in there. So I still feel like I'm documenting my day, and it's, the memories are captured, but it's not necessarily, written down in analog form. Anyway, I am getting to the end of this book, like very, very close to the end. I believe 30 days left. Yeah, so 28 days left now. But I have to explain. You're like, why are you talking about this? So I really like still having a daily log. And initially I really wanted the Stalogy because I don't like log my day every single day. On the weekends, I find it a little bit harder because I'm spending that time with my husband, and sometimes, we go out. And so I'm not necessarily, I just don't have as much time to, it just doesn't come as naturally to me. And so I wanted undated, and then I realized I just struggled. These are all meant to have dates in the corner. I struggled dating it. And so I will have to go back and, these earlier pages definitely had some dates on it back in April. But yeah, I struggled with that a lot. This is for later. And so I was just kind of keeping track of like little things I was struggling with. Like overall, the system, the planner is great. I love it. I had a really, really good time with this. And, getting to the end of this, I feel great about it. Like I think as long as I don't hate it, I think it's a sign it's going well. But I'm always, up for a little change because it's just fun. But if I didn't have a choice, I would happily continue with, I think, the Stalogy. But I use this every day, like I said, but I also use my planner every day because it has my to-do list. Again, I work from home, I work for myself, so I need a to-do list. And I like having the week view, but I need space to write. And before this, I was using a pocket. That's not necessary. Okay, focus. Sorry, I'm rambling. I'm losing track of my topic. But I usually have both of these things open on my desk. I can't put it away because then I'll forget about it. So I like to have it open on my desk. And you can imagine just having like two things open on your desk. I have a fairly big desk, but I'm also a very like cluttered person. I'm a person that keeps things on my desk as a way to remind me I've got open projects. But then, of course, the problem is I just keep adding new projects. And so I kind of run out of space with having two planners open and like trying to grab two. And I typically don't bring these journals out with me when I go cafe or anything. But if I wanted to, it would be a little bit difficult bringing these two, especially, now towards the end. It's getting a little bit, thick, even though it is a B6 size. And I was just thinking for 2026 that something kind of combined would be nice. And it's actually how I used to start journaling. If I can find a picture, I will put it in. But I used to start in a very junk journal kind of way where I had a little to-do list and then I would just kind of log about my day. That was years and years ago. And I kind of just evolved from there, trying different things, which is fine. But now I'm feeling like I want to merge back into one planner. And so that's kind of how I came up with the idea of using the Hobonichi Cousin because there are not many dated planners out there that has a dated daily planner for one, but also still a monthly and a weekly, because the planning portion is still important for me. And so I don't particularly love the Hobonichi colors. That's one of the reasons I thought I would never use it because I get very overwhelmed by colors, by bright colors especially, and it's just very like in your face. But I know it's still very subtle. Please ignore me. It's just a personal preference. The Hobonichi Cousin was one of the few planners that I found with space for a dated kind of daily page, but it still had a weekly section, a monthly section for one, even a quarterly kind of bonus section. Not bonus, I don't know why I'm calling it a bonus, but it has this monthly, which I consider quarterly because it's kind of split up nicely. And it has the vertical weekly. And this was another layout that I thought I would never use. I love seeing people in the vertical weekly. I just never thought it would work for me. But because I still want to be able to see my week at a glance and still kind of plan weekly, I will go through how I'll use each of these as well. But I still wanted the daily log side. And you're like, it's so big. Why didn't you get the A6? Maybe no one's asking that question, but I certainly asked that question because I was tossing up between the sizes. And I was like, oh man, A5 is pretty big. But then I knew that the quote on the bottom kind of took up a lot of the space. So I did end up doing some measuring to double check like how much extra space is this, because this might be way too much space for me to daily log because the B6 and the Stalogy is kind of a perfect size for me. My friend and admin, my Patreon admin, Kieran Buckley, she very kindly, she's one of the people that uses the Hobonichi, but is switching away from it next year. She very kindly sent me some test pages from her Hobonichi, I think this year. I'm not sure, but she had some blank pages, so she ripped it out and sent it to me so I could test it. And so this is my test. What I did initially was like write it both in my Stalogy daily log, like the B6, and in here to test how the same information would fit. And it's actually really, really similar. Even though the sizes sound totally different, I did some measuring. I did some measuring to prove my point. So I've already measured this side and I have also done it in the Stalogy because I thought it was very fascinating. So I just chose a blank page here. So the width of the, I'm sorry, I just totally blanked out. The width of the Hobonichi Cousin here is 13.35 centimeters. I am Australian, so I will use centimeters. I cannot tell you what that is in inches, but hopefully you can just Google that. The whole width of it is 13.35. But how I planned on using this was not completely for just the daily log that I, did in my Stalogy. So this whole page is just daily log. It's just memory keeping. But what I liked about the Hobonichi Cousin was that there was a little space here that has, the schedule, but I'm going to ignore that. But it already has this like line to divide the page. And the reason I like that is because I wanted to use this section here for just my daily to-do list. As you can see here, that's what I did. And I just loved the idea of just having one page open and that's my day. That's it. That's all I need to look at rather than trying to juggle like two different planners. And I know it's not so portable, the size of it, A5, but if I did want to bring this planner out, it would actually make it easier to just have the one planner because everything is kind of in there. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So the width of this is 13.35 from here to here. And the width of the Stalogy is 11.5. So it is slightly wider. What is it? 1.15 centimeters wider. Slightly, less than you would think, right? Considering how big the page looks, but margins play a part. And I usually rule the line 8 lines in. So I did that there as an example. And so the width of that 8-line column, because the grid size is different. This is, I believe, 4 mil, and the Hobonichi's, no, this is 5 mil, and the Hobonichi is 3.7, I think. I need to measure now. This is indeed 5, and I believe this is 3.7. So even though the writing space is similar, I'll be able to fit in probably a little bit more because the grid is so small. And I was worried about the grid because I have struggled with like small grids before, but it's been okay, surprisingly. Anyway, so I need to stay on track. I'm like distracting myself so much. But the 8-line kind of column that I draw for myself to separate my page a little bit is 4 centimeters. And this side that is already kind of predetermined by the Hobonichi layout is 5.2. So only 1.2 centimeters wider, but also it's only for this section here because the top of this will just be the to-do list. And the height of this grid page, I'm not including this because I'm not actually using that as part of my daily log, like part of the memories. I'm using that to track, which I'll talk about soon. But just this part from here to here is 15.15. And interestingly, the Stalogy is actually taller, this section, even though in this little B6, because of this quote and this whole section up here, this section is actually taller than the Hobonichi. So I found that really, really interesting because when I compare the writing space in that way, it makes a lot of sense. It's not like a ton of extra space, which I was worried about because I was like, I'm not going to be able to fill that all up. It'd probably be really blank, which is fine, but I was, again, just curious about it. And the writing space that I normally have here is 7.5 in the Stalogy. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but hopefully you can follow. And in the Hobonichi, the preset one is 8.15. Again, very, very minor difference, 0.65 centimeters. So I feel like it kind of worked out really well. I really like the margin because drawing that in every day definitely actually did delay me a little bit from writing in here because I couldn't start until I had my sticker in there, until I ruled the line. And so it was just little things I noted that was kind of holding me back from daily logging and things I just wanted to change for next year, for 2026. And so after doing these measurements, I was like, yes, that is pretty much perfect. That kind of solved that issue with it. So I'll have a space for my to-do list here, which I normally, again, put in my week planner. So it'd be just this written here instead. And then at the top, what I was thinking was, yeah, that would be great for the to-do list because that's kind of what it's for. But there's only 5 things and I tend to write down every single little task because it just helps me, break down the bigger tasks. But what I ended up using that for was to track. This has been a problem of mine as well, to track little tasks, like reoccurring tasks that I want to do. So Japanese is one of them, doing a little bit of Japanese study every single day. I want to be able to mark that I've done it that day, and also decluttering because again, I'm a messy person and just doing a little bit of decluttering every single day makes a big difference. And the third thing is working out. Where did I put that? And so, yeah, eventually I was just playing around with like where I wanted to put it, writing down the temperature. And then I never had declutter and workout in the same day. I guess not. Oh no, the pages are falling apart. So this top section will just be for my tracking, and I'll only write it if I did it. At first I wrote it and then ticked it off if I did it. Sorry, I keep going back and forth. where is an example here? So I wrote Japanese and I wrote declutter, but I didn't do Japanese that day, so I didn't tick it. But I think I'm getting ahead of myself. But when it actually comes to the day, I mean, we'll see how we go. I won't know until I actually use it, but I think I'll only write it down if... No, you know what? I've changed my mind. I've literally just changed my mind. I'm going to write it down every single day just to remind myself. Japanese, declutter, workout. And I only tick it when it's done. So I will write those 3 things in the middle, and then I will write the temperature on the side here. That was another thing with the daily log. I kind of stopped writing it in here, and at first I was writing in my planner, and then I just kept forgetting to write it down. But I really like being able to track the temperature and just comparing that to the previous year, because I write that in my 5-year diary as well. But I need to write it down in the daily so that when I go to do my 5-year diary, I have that reference there. Okay, let's backtrack a little bit because I'm a bit chaotic right now. So to-do list space, and then I have tracking things here, daily tracking. I write the temperature there, and then the rest of it will be just daily log. And the difference with my current planner is I won't put any stickers. I won't put any photos. I want to keep it as simple as possible. Just writing. I will still do those things, just in a different insert. And I think that just, again, that addresses one of my issues where I fell into kind of a pattern of like struggling to print out photos in time and making the time for that. And so I have a lot of blank spaces. And so I had to like leave the space in order to write, and it slowed me down a little bit. And when it comes to my daily logging, it's not really my creative planner. And I think that's where I fell, made an accident. Not made an accident. What am I saying? Where I fell into the trap. No, there's a difference in planners, right? One is just, purely functional planning, and the other one is a little bit more creative. And I do like having a mix of both. But when it comes to daily journaling, because I just need to get stuff done, I shouldn't make my daily things so creative. I think the creative things need to be an occasional thing, or I just cannot keep up with it, is what I found this year. And that might change, over the years, depending on how my life is. But what I'm thinking for 2026, I just want really functional for my daily, and then then I'll have more time for creative, like occasional things, occasional journals. And so I'm stripping back the daily, no photos, maybe a sticker if I really want to, but if I do, it'll be in the corner. But I think I don't want to, because I don't want to bulk up this planner. And if I don't add anything to this planner, it'll kind of stay this thin. And I love chunky journals, but I think for the daily, I needed to simplify it. I think I was overcomplicating, not in a bad way. I had a lot of fun with it, but I don't like backlogging. And so anything that helps me streamline to avoid backlogging the daily, especially when it's important to write down in the moment, I just needed something really, really simple. So that's how I plan to use the daily pages for this. I really like just having one planner open, the idea of that. And using it for several days, I had a really, really good experience with it. Thankfully, these might be different pages, but the fountain pen that I use held up well for it, and that was fine. I didn't have any issues kind of looking at this to-do list. I didn't feel myself thinking like, oh, I wish I saw it in the context of the week. I think it worked out well, but if I do, the what is it called? The vertical weekly will kind of help address that. So I think I'm going to go into the vertical weekly layout and talk about how I plan to use it, because, what we plan to use can be completely different to how we actually use it. And this is not equivalent, but I did print out Faded Chronicles Vertical Weekly because I was also considering this planner. So this is her B6 planner, and I thought it was perfect because the size was great, but I really needed daily pages, so that was kind of the deciding factor for me. But it's all really similar to the Hobonichi layout. It's a lot more minimal, which I really like. I actually really like her layout, but I did help her design it, but it's her idea, so I'm not complimenting myself. But I did print this out before I had the Hobonichi Cousin in my hands to test it out. And I'm not fully certain that Like it won't look like this every single week. This was kind of just a test. And, you know, when you use a planner for the first time, you're in the honeymoon stage. So things are very exciting. But I definitely will use this kind of week plan section to write out the tasks for the whole week. That's always really helpful. And I meant to kind of use this as a log as well. And it's going to be a cross between kind of time blocking on certain days. Like it'll be versatile, right? On the days I need to time block, I can do that. But it's also like seeing my daily log at a glance. I can, if I write this in, I can kind of see at a glance where I spent my time. And I find that interesting because, again, I have issues with memory, time being lost. And so being able to just see your day at a glance like this is kind of helpful. And so I played around with this. I wouldn't need the entire, day because I do stop working around 9:30. And I start work around 9 after morning pages, but I don't need to write that in. And so I was playing around with like dividing up the section into like smaller sections and seeing how I would use that. And I really like the idea of just the flexibility. So I would, I think, track my YouTube and my Instagram up here because I struggle with that. So anything to kind of bring that to the front to help me track it helps. I played around with doing the weather, but I don't think I will because that's just too much writing it like again and again. Because if I write it in my daily, I have to write it here and then again in my 5-year diary, and that's just too much. So I'll keep it to the daily pages only and the 5-year diary. But so far, I just want to write whether or not I posted to YouTube or Instagram that day. And then if I block it off up here, then maybe I could just write priorities for the day if I needed to plan out. So I anticipate it's not going to be the same for every single day. I think I will use the weekly however I need to on that day, whether it's time blocking, whether it's planning out the day, scheduling in a task. And as you can see here, I just kind of highlighted. I didn't love the way it looked, but I also don't hate it, so I'm not sure. I highlighted when I ate lunch that day. And so not because I care when I ate lunch, but it helps me see what did I do in the morning and what did I do in the afternoon. So again, it's just helping me kind of review my day and seeing where I spent my time. Not to be harsh on myself, but just because I don't remember what happened in the day, it's just a great visual kind of tracker. So that's how I plan on using that. The side, again, very simple, just tracking the weekly tasks. And then, yeah, it's kind of cool for tracking things here, but I don't anticipate myself flipping back and forth very often because the daily is on a different, what am I trying to say? It's not weekly then dailies, it's all weeklies and then all dailies. So I know that I'm probably not going to flip back and forth very often, but I reckon that I won't use this very like fully, but I like the option. So I am okay with this being blank some days because it's just to help me plan. This is not to add pressure to myself. This is if I need the additional space to plan out my day or to do some time blocking, which I definitely need on certain days when I feel overwhelmed and I'm like, all right, let's write everything out and see how much we can realistically get done. Track how long it took you to do that. Like if I need that for that particular day, I will do that. That is the purpose of the vertical weekly for me, and just to keep track of my weekly tasks, which is good because I have that kind of pulled out week overview. And then for the monthly, how I plan on using this, it might be really random, but if you remember from my Plan With Me videos, I don't use the monthly. I use it to plan, which is great, but I do not flip back to look at the monthly very much. I love the idea of it, but it's just not something I flip back to. I still need to plan out the monthly, but I don't think I need it necessarily in here. I do have a plan. I don't know how well it's going to work. I do have a plan to put this somewhere else, which I will talk about in the future video as I, keep thinking about it. But for now, what I'm planning is making this kind of my calendar to track media, which is what I've been doing this year in my Muji planner, my Muji planner, because I bought this 2 years ago and I thought I would use that for highlights and everything. It ended up being so difficult to use up that I had to think of new ways to use it. And so it started off being like a monthly plan. And then I'm like, oh, I don't really use monthly plans. And so it merged into kind of just tracking the movies and shows and books that I've read. Because again, I have all this information in Notion already, but I really like the idea of having the visual tracker of seeing how long it took me to read a book, how long it took us to watch a movie, because we watch it over, several days. We don't watch we don't watch the entire movie in one sitting. And so yeah, this has actually been really fun. I didn't expect it, but it's been really fun to track it like this. So red is shows and movies, and gray are books. And again, even though it's already in Notion, just seeing like what I read in March like this instantly is it's nice. And it's nice being able to like every day go into here and just jot down what we watched. But the key point there is every day, because I am updating this almost every single day. And when I don't, oh my God, I totally forget. If I miss like 3 days, I'm asking my husband, like, what did we watch? Did we finish the episode? Did we only watch half? Like we both struggle with it. So I know it's not just me. But this is this month so far. I haven't even written in the month. See, I struggle with little things like that, writing in the month headings. But this was August, I think. Yeah, this was August. So what I'm thinking, I'm going to continue doing this because I didn't realize how much fun I would have doing this and just how enjoyable it is to log my media in this way. But yeah, I'm only doing movies and shows. I'm not really doing anything else, and books as well. But I thought it'd be nice to put in here because, again, daily. This is the all-in-one kind of daily planner, so it makes sense. It didn't make sense to do it in my week planner because that was purely like a functional productivity task planner, whereas this is kind of a memory thing. But now that I'm putting my daily log in here, like I'm planning to write my daily log pages, it kind of goes hand in hand with like the media that I consumed that month. So for the monthly, I'm not using it as a productivity thing. I might on the side, maybe, but probably not, because again, I have a different idea for that. But yeah, I think I will use this for the media calendar, because this is merging kind of like 3 planners in one, and I still do have some pages left in here. So if my other idea falls through, I can just do my monthly plan with me's in here, and this feels much more like temporary, like it's just on the side, it'd be great for like a temporary month plan. So that is my plan for the monthly, and I'm really excited about that. I've already been using an A5 plan, so the size will be really, really similar. The squares are almost the exact same. It's actually slightly bigger maybe in here, except for that bar at the top. I could even, circle the number in the color. No, I don't think so. I like it next to it. So I probably won't change that too much. I do have the space here if I want to write down productivity things. Oh, I just noticed that the 1331 is squished. Ew, I don't like that. I think that's all I wanted to say about that. Again, with the Hobonichi, I'm not a big fan of this like bright red, like highlighted weekends. It's fine. I'll survive. It's not that big of a deal, but that was just one of the few things that kind of stopped me from considering the Hobonichi. But I know that there is a dupe of this planner. I forgot what it's called now, but it is an AliExpress dupe. But they didn't quite have the vertical weekly daily page layout combo. And so I still decided to stick with Hobonichi. I also really like this kind of yearly, quarterly overview. Yep, that's it. So with this is also really good for tracking, but also to write my monthly priorities, because currently I already write 3 monthly priorities. And I write that, let's see if I can get an example. I already write that in the month at the bottom. I write it down here. So it's kind of perfect. There's a little bit less room, but I think I could squish that in. And so it'll be cool to see them all next to each other, just see how my year kind of progresses. And the way I want to use this is I want to write on the side here. Again, so you saw that I was tracking Japanese, workout, declutter, and in the vertical weekly, I was tracking YouTube and Instagram. So I'm going back and forth a lot, I apologize. But in this planner, my weekly, they also had a similar view where it was the year, but every day had a small section. So in here, I was tracking I fell off a lot with it, but I was I didn't use this at all. I just remembered this existed. I was tracking when I posted a YouTube video and when I posted an Instagram post. So you can see at a glance, like, I fell off, but you can see when I posted and the gaps in between them. And I just like the idea of being able to visually see that. And so I kind of want to continue with this, but also add Japanese. Probably not declutter. I don't really care how well I do in the year for decluttering, but working out for sure, seeing the month progress of that. And so I think I'll have enough room for Japanese, workout, Instagram, YouTube. I could probably even add, a space in between, and I'll write it sideways so that I track it this way. So each column will be attached to a specific thing, a habit that I'm tracking. I mean, it's not really a habit, just something I want to visually track. And I think the good thing is, because again, flipping back to this page might be a challenge, but because I'm logging it ideally in the day to day and I'm logging it in the week, I can always catch up on this later if I need to, because all the information should be here if I posted, on YouTube or in the daily if I did Japanese that day. So it's just like another way of representing that data that I'm already tracking daily. It's just presenting it in a way to understand it differently. So that's how I plan to use that, just tracking that visually, and then the kind of month priorities. And that's pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else. I have no plans for the end of the book. There's not really anything. There's like a few extra grid pages, and then I'm not going to probably use this at all. I mean, technically I could log the books that I don't typically read more than 100, usually around 80 to 90 books a year. So I could write all of the books here. That might work. I just thought of that kind of on the spot, and I could write the rating for them, which is interesting, and maybe just highlight. That's cute. I kind of like it. There is a space for media, favorites. I could write my favorite books there. That is interesting. I just do like the idea of trying an all-in-one planner for 2026, and for what I need currently, this does work quite well. I just like the idea of having one planner that I could carry with me, even just like downstairs to like log something. It's like a comfort planner. My daily thing is kind of a comfort thing, but having 2, 3 even it just made it a little bit harder to keep up with everything. And the goal is for my planners to help me live my life, not to take up so much of my life that I can't live. It's meant to be complementing my lifestyle, not taking over it. So that is how I plan to use a planner. That's why I decided to switch despite the colors. I talked about the writing space. I'm just looking at my outline, and I talked about how I plan to use each of the pages. So that's pretty much it. I did write a little bit of some points on here because there were some grid pages on like why I'm switching. Oh, this is hanging on by a literal thread. So I miss stay per page for daily tasks. So I mentioned before that I was using the Moleskine kind of pocket daily, and that was this little tiny thing that I just liked, having a really immersive view of my day, because I think I was getting a little distracted by the other tasks in the week. And as someone that gets overwhelmed by everything that I have to do, it was not helping. And so as long as I'm doing my monthly plan and breaking it down into the weekly, when it comes to the daily, I just want to focus on what I need to do today and not get too overwhelmed. So I missed the day per page, and I wanted to be more immersed in my day. I wanted to try combining, the daily log and the planner. One planner open on desk instead of 2, and all in one daily is what I said. I wrote that the writing space is actually similar to the Stalogy B6. I wanted to try separating the life archives, which is my photos, from my daily log again, and bring back some junk journaling with ephemera. So that's another minor reason. I miss pasting in just like a lot of random junk, stickers, packaging into my journals, but I had to hold back a little bit with the Stalogy because I didn't want it to get too chunky. And even with just photos, it got so chunky already. But you saw some snippets of like ephemera in here. I want to have more of that. I just want to have more fun with that because I did have some roots in junk journaling as well. And so I am trying to put that in a separate insert. So again, talking about how my daily is my functional, my all-in-one daily is just functional writing, to to create space for creativity in other journals that are more occasional. And so I'm not pressuring myself to be more creative every single day, because sometimes, some days you just need to get stuff done. And so yes, I did want to try separating the photos from the daily log again. It was great while it lasted, but it did get a little bit overwhelming. And I already said this, I don't usually carry my daily log or planner out. But if I want to, one planner is easier than two. And also there's plenty of space for tracking. That was another concern for me this year, that I didn't really have a place to put it. I could have printed out a calendar, but I just wanted something all in one. And I wanted something dated. So those are the main reasons. And I've had this planner now for, like, I haven't used it, but I bought it a few weeks ago, and the feeling is still there, which is good. I was a little worried about, committing to something too early, but I have been thinking about this throughout the year, just kind of taking little mental notes here and there, like, what am I liking about my planners? What am I not? And what would I want to change? Again, my system has been working really well. It's just small little minor tweaks to just make it a little bit easier. I'm a big fan of optimizing, things can work, but things can always be a little bit better as well. So I find that part of like planners quite fun, because you just want to tweak to like make it a little bit easier for yourself. So I'm really excited about having an all-in-one planner that kind of replaces a lot for me. It combines the weekly planner, which is kind of my daily, but it combines the daily log as well, and it also combines my media calendar. So I am a person that does struggle with putting things into categories too much. Like when I make music playlists, I do have some according to mood, but I have playlists for genres as well, and I have so many playlists. So that's the kind of person I am. I want to be able to like categorize everything into like specific categories. And so it made sense for me to want to split my planners up, but I do want to try an all-in-one again, just to make my life a little bit easier. This doesn't mean that what I did this year doesn't work, it wasn't good. It's just a little tweak. I just want to try something new. And, life was a little bit unexpected this year. A lot of things happened that I could not have imagined would happen. And that did shake up my life, my system, my daily plan a little bit. And so, maybe because of that, because of life things, it kind of pushed me into a different direction. But I'm really excited to try something new. I ended up getting this on Amazon. I didn't have any Japan trips planned for this year. Otherwise, I would have gotten it in Japan. But it was fairly cheap on Amazon. I got it for 58 AUD, which is a lot less USD. And it came in like 5 days from Amazon Japan. I did get the English because I didn't have the Japanese version. I think I would have preferred the Japanese version, obviously, because I'm trying to learn the language, and it would have been really good practice to just read the quotes in Japanese. But I'm not going to get a cover for this at this stage. I'm fine just using it as is. This color is actually really nice. I will probably put some stickers on it just to signify the year. Just some Herbie stickers. Do I have some stickers here I can test out? I have a witch one. And I have this one as well. So, this color palette works really well. I probably won't put the witch one. That's very specific. But I could put one of these and just end up sticker bombing it with my stickers from the year, I guess. It might be a nice memory. But yes, I'm rambling. But that is why I am switching to the Hobonichi Cousin for 2026. Again, this is the A5 size, because I believe the A6 size didn't come with the vertical weekly, but after measuring the writing space, the grid, everything, it ended up being perfect for me because it was really similar to the Stalogy B6. I haven't fully committed to anything else for my planner lineup, but this is kind of like the foundation, the bedrock of my planner system as an all-in-one daily, and the creative stuff I'll kind of work around that. But that is all. I would love to know if you're also using a cousin, or if you're planning to move away from it. The trend that I've seen is people are moving away from Hobonichi next year. So I'm definitely very, very late to the game. It's the first Hobonichi I've ever used. Again, it's still early days, it's only October, and so I won't be able to use this until January, but the monthly does start in December, so I can start I can start my media log in here at the very least to test it out, so I can at least be in there and maybe just start planning for next year. But this, having it here early is a good test for me to be like, I'm no longer in the honeymoon stage of like, oh my God, new plan, it's so exciting, because it's been here on my desk for the past like 2 weeks. So, I keep touching it every now and then, but it kind of helps me cut through that excitement and just focus on what I really need and what is sustainable, and not to just like plan it out ideally, but to really think about what I need from this planner. Okay, that was a lot of talking, but thank you so much for watching this really random video. Again, I would love to know if you're using this cousin or if you're moving away from it, what you are using as your daily planner. Do you have an all-in-one? Do you have them in separate journals? Tell me all about your planner thoughts, because I love hearing what other people are using. But that is all for this video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!